Hello, my phenomenal viewers, and welcome on today's episode. On today's episode, we are going to be answering this GCE O-Level 2017 question 8. The question reads, Figure 2 is a velocity time graph where the distance covered is the area under the graph. Determine the distance covered in 9 hours. So this is figure 2 given to us in the question. As we can see, the velocity of the body is in meters per second and the time is in hours. So before we do any calculation, we must first of all convert the time in hours to seconds, since the SI unit of time is seconds and not hours. Now, looking at the velocity time graph, it shows that the body started from rest, which means the body started with a velocity of 0 meters per second and it accelerated uniformly up to when the velocity became 10 meters per second. Then it maintained this velocity for some time after it decelerated and came back to rest. So this is the velocity time graph. Now, coming back to the question has said that the area under this graph denotes or signifies the distance covered or traveled by that body. Now, had it been that the question did not give us this information, that is, the question did not tell us that the area under this graph represents the distance that the body has covered over a certain period of time, how would we have been able to calculate the distance? Now, whenever you have a graph like this, there are two things that you need to know about the graph. The first one is the significance of the area under that graph, and the second one is the slope or the gradient of that graph. So let us start by looking at the significance of the area under a graph. Significance of area under a graph. Now, for you to know what the area under a graph signifies, you simply take the units of the quantity that is found on the y-axis and you multiply it with the units of the quantity that is found on the x-axis. Now, since this is a velocity time graph, the quantity that is found on the y-axis is velocity, and its SI unit is what? Meters per second, times the unit that is found on the x-axis is seconds, since the quantity there is time. So multiply it by what? Time. Remember I said that we need to convert the time from hours to seconds. You will notice that second cancels with second, and we are going to be left with meters. Now, which physical quantity has the unit meters when it comes to velocity and time? It is obviously distance. So that is why the area under a velocity time graph signifies or represents the distance covered or traveled by that body. Now, the significance of the slope or the gradient. For you to know the significance of the slope or the gradient, you simply take the units of the physical quantity that is found on the y-axis and you divide it by the units of the physical quantity that is found on the x-axis. So we do the same thing, which is meters per second divided by second. We are going to end up having meters per second squared, and meters per second squared is the SI unit of acceleration. So it shows that for a velocity time graph, the area under the graph signifies the distance covered or traveled by that body, and the slope of that graph is the acceleration of the body. So this is how you determine the significance of the area under a graph and the slope of a graph. Now, coming back to the question, since we've seen that the area under this graph is the distance that the body has covered, now the question has asked us to calculate the distance covered in 9 hours. So this is the time axis from 0 to 9. Now this is the graph from 0 up to 9. Now when we look at this shape, you will notice that this shape is a trapezium. That is, it is trapezoidal. So this is a trapezium, and there is a formula that is used in calculating the area of a trapezium, and that formula is area of a trapezium is given by half sum of parallel side half sum of parallel side times height. Now, this is our trapezium. The parallel sides are the sides that do not meet. So this is a parallel side and this is another parallel side. So these are the two sides that are parallel because they can never meet. Now, from here to here is 9, because you just take 9 minus 0. So our A in this case is 9 as our B would be this distance from here to here, which is 8 minus 5. That gives us what? 3 as. Simply multiply 9 by 60 and we multiply it by 60 again. Because we multiply 9 by 60, we now have the time in minutes. We multiply it by another 60 to have the time in seconds. And when we do that, we are going to have 32,400 seconds. When we do this, we are going to have 10,800 seconds. So these are the values of our parallel sides. Now the height of this trapezium is this length, which is the same as from 0 to 10. 10 minus 0, that gives us what? 10 meters per second. So that is our h. Now substituting these values into the equation, we are going to see that a is equal to a half into 32,400 plus 10,800, all this times 10. And when you simplify this, you are going to end up with the distance covered in 9 hours to be 216,000 meters. So this is how we obtain the distance covered or traveled by a body from a velocity time graph. So whenever you have a question that concerns a graph, you have to know the significance of the area under that graph and the slope of that graph. So if you loved this video, please help me and share so that they can get to many students as possible. And if this is your first time coming across any of my videos, please do not hesitate to either subscribe or follow me so that whenever I upload videos like this one, you will be notified. And thank you for watching. Stay blessed.